Thanks so much for coming on to the Useful Podcast. I'm Gokul, and basically today I'm here with Anita, the founder of Hello Hair. And I did a lot of research based on your history, your business, and even you. And it's just a lot. I want to go into the deeper story behind Hello Hair and you as well. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm
So,
excited.
yeah. I guess I want to start off with like my first question, which was your own story starts with almost like a contradiction or a beautiful contradiction. Your dad loved dreadlocks. Your mom permed her hair all the time. She was a perm conformist. So paint me in that house. What was it like living in that house with this just different dynamic?
Okay, we are going all the way back. I love that. To the garden we go. Okay, let's
Yeah.
explore. So yeah, it's always interesting when I see like my mom and my dad. They are complete opposites, but they did really well together. Like it was he had his own set of strength, she had her own set of strength, and together it was like dynamite. It was amazing, right? So my dad is definitely, I would call him the rebel. He was literally does not conform. He doesn't believe in some of the structures that are in place and was really heavy on education and ownership. So yes, there's going to be support system, but you need to have your own and you need to continuously, even outside of school, you got to self-educate. So always really drove in that spirit of always being a learner. And with his locks, the Rastafarian movement, if you know anything about that, is they're very like, they're grounded in who they are and they're very prideful in what they are and what they believe in is like education is a core pillar in their beliefs. So,
So
yeah.
just curious, what's Rastafarian?
So it is I don't want to say a religion, but it was a movement in Jamaica. And essentially, they believe in like peace, wellness, and like ownership and ITEL living and just like the beauty of freedom and liberation and just being your whole self. I mean, locks is a connection to the spirit. The hair is not just hair. It is your spiritual connection. It is your, your guide. And it's something you never cut biblically connected to Solomon and his locks and Delilah. And, he lost his power once he cut it. So they don't cut their locks. Let's just say that. So that
I
is
love that.
from my Jamaican roots, Rastafarianism. And then my mother who grew up in England. So very different. And as you can imagine in England, it is I like to say the word posh, sorry to offend anybody, but a lot more like, they clean cut, everything's taken care of. She really like from clothing to like the home to event planning, everything in between. She's very, very, very detailed, very, very particular, very much like it needs to look a certain way, which is why she permed her hair, right? That was the social norm. That was the way to get accepted and to get a good job was to have straight hair. So you have people who are like, I don't care what anybody thinks. This is who I am. This is the locks. I don't care about the stigma. To the one like, no, this is how to get a good job. This is what you got to do to show up. Like, it's crazy that I live in the same household. It's mind
What
boggling.
do you think that did for your view? Or how do you think that impacted your view?
I think it just expanded my mind. Like, it allowed me to really flow and go through the journey of hair care with a lot more grace, I guess you would say. I didn't feel like I had to be one certain way because if I went upstairs, my mom was like this, and I went downstairs, my dad was like that. You know what I mean? To me, it was find your own, find your own, whatever works for you.
That makes sense. So kind of curious about your own hair journey when you were younger. Like based on this, I'm assuming you probably, I mean, how did you learn how to take care of your hair? Did your mom teach you? Kind of curious how that background went. And yeah,
Yeah. So because my mother was in the perming stage, when it comes to like natural textured hair education, that just didn't exist when it comes to your curls and coils. So I grew up with really just getting my hair plaited every Sunday. I have three sisters and one brother. So it's kind of like line up, boom, 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 everybody get their hair done. I don't have any direct relationship with me actually touching my curly, like my textured hair. The first experience that I did have with like caring for my hair was when it was permed. So I grew up with, like I said, three sisters and all of them had this full, thick, coarse hair. And I was the only one that had finer hair. So very fragile. And I am the second last. So My eldest got her hair perm. My second oldest got her hair perm. So I'm like, okay, natural progressions. I'm going to get my hair perm. And my hair did not turn out like any of their hairs. It was, I would say it needed more life. It didn't have much life left. It was boneless. And I think that was my first experience of really not liking my hair in the sense, like, even when it's permed, it's still not enough. So I think my personal experience growing up is the textured hair is one thing, but like even just the fineness of how the structure of my hair, the characteristics of my hair, I didn't accept either. So that just led me on a journey of I admire everybody who has the confidence in the beautiful, thick, coarse hair, but it's just not for me. It's just not going to be for me. And I had the blessing. My eldest sister was a hairstylist. So she did back to back hairstyles on me. I had the newest weaves. I had the newest wigs. I had always my hair done, but I had zero relationship with my own hair. So it's like a blessing and a curse, is what I would say. Yeah.
Okay, kind of curious. I guess it took you more than you mentioned. It took you more than 20 years to even embrace your natural hair, and you're talking about some of that journey here.
Mhm.
What really over the course of that journey, what really made you fall in love with your natural hair? And even was there a specific moment that you were like, you know what? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I'll be honest. I have to be honest. Like, I'm still learning to fully love my natural hair in its natural state without manipulation. So that just means as the afro, as it grows and as it nurtured, like that's just what it is. So I'm still, I would say, still learning to love that part. But the moment was when my previous business, unfortunately, I had to dissolve my first business, Sleeky Beauty. And it was on that, I did a lot of deep discovery and reflection. And I realized that I was building from a place of lack and using that previous business to kind of mask my identity. Like that was it. Like everything was like, I'm enough because I have this business. Like I'm worthy because I have this business. Like everything was rooted in that. And during COVID is when I dissolved it because the beauty industry took the longest to kind of open their doors again. And I reconnected with my hair. I was home, so I had no events, no workshops, no nothing. I could literally be home. I knew natural hair requires like time, right? I need to be able to set it, to process it. So it's like, okay, it's now or never. And once I actually got to like explore my texture, I started to love the texture and see the curls and be like, wow, this is mine. Its natural state. That was the moment. And then which made me like go all in is when I was expecting at the same time, expecting my daughter, Tiana. That was like, okay, she's not going through what I went through. Like at the very least, I'm going to teach her the beauty of her crown. Yeah.
Yeah, and going to actually your daughter actually, I guess you've decided that she'll be raised with like basically unconditional love of her own body, of herself, and she'll basically like self-love is something that she'll always have or something you want to give her. When did you know that this was something? I mean, you mentioned it right now, but when did you know that this was like a serious part of something you wanted to instill in her?
Mm. I think it was because of how, like, when I really deep dive on that journey of like what made me like this, right? Like, where did this first thought of like, I'm not enough start? And it was predates the business, predates the perming. It's like a childhood nickname. It was a nickname, and my name was Big Eyes and Baldy. And I have big eyes, so I must be bald as well. So, right? Like it's coming from my siblings, so they probably know better than me, right? So it was, it's just like having siblings and like realizing that some of the words that people say and use, you don't know how it's impacting them quietly, because I was a person that was dwelling on that in my own quiet corner, right? Even though it was a joke to them, it's like, man. And I think that created a bias for me, or like a limiting belief that my hair would never be full and voluminous and nice and thick and beautiful. So it was realizing that no, this doesn't happen when she's in her teens or adolescence or going or her professional career. It's literally in the home. It's literally in the home. I think I was probably around her age, 6 or 7, when that became my name. So it's like, no, I have to do it now. It's not something you wait till later for her to experience life. It's like, how do you nurture and pour? Because I won't be in every room, but I need to fill her up so that she can, you had the language and also be able to understand the difference between this is like a negative comment, but it's not something reflection of you. You don't internalize that, how to let it go. That's kind of why I want to do it like at the very early age.
Yeah, kind of curious now that you bring up like when you were younger. I'm sure there was magazines in your house that you've mentioned that are. I mean, I'm pretty sure they have had an impact on like how you viewed your life. What do you think like actually that type of content does to like a young black girl as yourself in Canada? Like, did that help? Like, what do you remember about actually flipping through them?
That was actually the best thing ever. Like, looking through Black hair magazines was my first view of the versatility of our crowns. Like what we can do, like the styles, the creativities, like just any occasion, any event, you had a style that you can look into and explore through that magazine, which was wonderful. But there was a limitation to that in the sense that if my hair could not replicate that, it made me feel less than, right? Like, why can't my hair look like that? And oftentimes those magazines were just straight hair. So it was a perm or it was a weave. It was something, an enhancement to make you look a certain way. So I would say, I don't think there was intentional harm created from those magazines. The purpose was to really celebrate us as Black women and young girls. And I just think the time was like, perming's all we did. Like everybody did perming. Like that was just the trend. That was just the thing to do. And I get it. But it was really important for me to explore and see the beauty of our hair. So I really, really did love those magazines. And that's why I made sure like that essence was there because I know the why. I know why they created that and the importance and just flipping through, sitting down with your girls and just looking at different styles, talking about it, trying to recreate it. It brought an immense amount of joy. It brought a lot
Kind
of
of
joy.
curious. Is that the reason even Hello Hair is a book, or you started it off as a book?
That's it. That's exactly it. When I tell you I went on a deep dive on my childhood, I'm like, wait, what was the good and what was the bad? I mean, it's not ever going to be perfect, but like those moments of just looking through the magazine, I actually found a couple photos and I'm like, this style was directly pulled from a magazine. Like I know exactly where it came from. And my sister is a hairstylist. So a lot of like when we were thinking about new looks and feels, we were looking at the magazine as well. I reflect, I'm like, where did those go? Like there was positive and there was so much goodness in there and such celebration of who we are. So I intentionally did like when I was creating the book design, I was mirroring the actual hair magazines. I went searching for old ones in the house, but it is rooted and inspired by deeply those 90s Black hair magazines.
Yeah, kind of curious. It's like the modern day. Why wouldn't you have chosen an app, a product line? Like, there's a bunch of different things you could have done. Like, is it because you wanted people to actually touch and feel the hair as they use it? Kind of curious.
That's a great question. And I'm so glad you asked that because my previous business was running after like tech was trending, right? I like beauty, but tech was trending. So you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to make money. Like that was it. It was like, I know I can scale faster. The margins are better. Like they're getting funded. Like it checked everything. And that's what I was really tied to with Fleeky, my first venture. So when I created Hello Hair, there was actually no intention to leave my household. The book was not supposed to be what it is today. Like the brand was never a part of the original story at all. Like I say business is my passion, but Hello Hair feels like purpose because it's guided in different ways that I'm like, books don't make money. What do they say? Authors don't make money. So I'm like, why would I write a book? Like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? You have a business mind. So I see it's the mustard seed. It was never intended. It was just a matter of I was still in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. People had asked what I was working on, and I just shared the book. And the reception was just so positive, and I would do a disservice. I would be selfish of me not to share it with the world. So that's kind of how my lens shifted. Like, I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this because I know the impact that I can have, and that matters more. Money will, if it comes, it'll be a benefit, but like, I'm doing this because I know what it's like on the other side with not loving yourself, without having identity, without like really feeling like you're enough. So that was the motivation behind. And I've just been following the community. Like, what do you need? I'm building. I'm an entrepreneur. I'll build it for you. So, but yeah, that's kind of how the journey started with the book. It wasn't supposed to be where it is today, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and then from the book to the dolls, is the dolls like the extension of how you actually wanted people to actually learn how to, I mean, one
So,
style the hair and do everything else? And kind of curious where that leap came from, or was that planned?
yeah. So the styling dolls was something that I knew would be the natural progression, rooting into education, right? So when you think about hair, for some, it could be traumatic. For some, they're learning for the first time. And the last thing I want is to create a new trauma in a child. So for me to, you have the books, there's a bunch of styles. Children are not going to allow you to play in their hair for you to learn how to detangle, right? It takes time and grace. And I think the styling doll is something that will allow, no matter where you are in your hair journey, to kind of learn the fundamentals before applying it to the child. It reduces the new traumas, it reduces the frustration for the adults. And it's something that I'm like, why doesn't it already exist? It's kind of Cosmo School. There's a dozen of mannequin, and not everybody wants to be a cosmetologist to care for their hair. So for me, it was just how do we create something that already exists, but make it more accessible to the consumer side or just the everyday individual?
Kind of curious, is this coming from your own journey as a mother as well, of like how you're taking care of your daughter? You're like, oh, wait, I might need this to start doing this. And
Yeah. So oddly enough, I've always known how to braid. I'm trying to, we were just talking about that on the week with my sisters because she doesn't know how to braid. But I'm like, I don't know where I learned, honestly. It was just maybe on my own hair. But when I was speaking with my sister as to why she doesn't know how to braid, she's like, I don't know if I know how to braid. I don't think I tried to braid because I just hated getting my hair done. So maybe it's just like a psychological trip that she's in. Like, but I gave her the doll to try to learn how to braid, right? It wasn't necessarily for me. It was just understanding around people. We did enough conversations with others to know like they're going to need a tool before they just jump into styling their child's hair. And that's kind of where we built out that.
it's pretty cool. And then you've gone from, I guess, books and dolls to now completely in community centers, 6-week programs. You have police officers as actual mentors. And it's broadened into a whole conversation about identity, safety, worth, and a whole. So it's
Yeah.
transitioned from more than just like a style and like a hair product to more, and it's more now more just. I'm kind of curious what you view it, how you view this. Would you view it as a movement, or kind of just have you talk about it? Actually,
Yeah. Because it's funny. The book is actually the styles, and that is the last part of the journey when you do a workshop with Hello Hair. Because to me, like personally, it's never about this style. The style is the final product. It's the journey for me. It's the discovering of myself in like who I am. It's the understanding how what's happening inside that is going to impact the health of my hair. It is the what do I have access to when it comes to products? Like what is affordable? That I can actually like telling me to do a hair regime, but does it align to my income level, right? There's so many factors, your mental health and wellness, like your hair, you could be doing all the things right, and your stress levels can be impacting the health of your hair. Or the water and the environment or wherever you grow, that can impact your hair. So there's so many things. And for so long, I've done so many trial and errors with like the styling, the products and all that other stuff that I'm like, I need something new. I need something new. So Hello Hair is not really about hair at all, is what I would say. It is, we know hair is the entryway because we all have a hair experience. And to add to this is it has now gone beyond just the black hair experience. Like we have talked to so many people and we realize like there's a huge gap for many of us. We don't know what we're doing when it comes to our hair. So we're more similar than we are different. And I kind of connected to like sports, right? When you go to a sports game, everybody's in the room, no matter whether background, culture, religion, doesn't matter their gender, they're there. And I think with hair, you can really unite people and bring them together when you root it back to science. So I use hair from we all care how we look and feel, so we can get you in the room. But when we get in the room, we're diving deeper. We're talking about like, how do you see yourself? What are your roots? Are you proud? What are some of the health concerns? What's your environment? What's your access? There's so much more than just hair. And then we'll get to the styling because that's the end result. But like to not know how those ingredients could impact your health, why would I teach you styling, right? To not know how that tension when you're styling can impact your actual scalp health. That has to happen before we just jump into styling. There's just so much fundamentals that I think will actually empower others to be able to pass this knowledge to the next person. Not just do it, but be able to be a teacher in their own right. So then generationally, we can see that we're not so obsessed about hair. Like we just get hair and we can move on to things that really, how else do we amplify in this world, right? Hair is a part of us, but like, I don't want your whole life to be thinking about my hair. I want you to enjoy, explore, have fun, like just be and not be a weight. Feel like hair's a weight or a hindrance or a delay into getting to your fullness and your wholeness. So that's really the goal for me of Hello Hair. But I meet you where you're at in your journey. And if it happens to be styling, we'll take you at styling and we'll work it back to get deeper. So that's our approach.
I'm kind of curious what actually happens in the room then.
So our core pillars as it relates to like education is we have 4 that are always signature to Hello Hair. It is the roots, which is our history, the cultural importance, the significance of your hair pre-colonization, like from your home roots, your pride. Then we go into the research. And this is us. I looked for the first 3 years, I was looking for a hairstylist to partner with me to be the lead stylist at Hello Hair. And I was so, so picky. I told you my sister's a stylist. So there was no favors done, even if you're blood. I'm looking for someone very, very particular. And my lead hairstylist I say she's a scientist before she's a stylist. And the way that she speaks about hair care, like very similar, styling's the last part. She's actually a trichologist who really focuses on the science of the scalp and the hair and kind of from the inside out before she does a consult or before she has a recommendation or before she provides a service. It's all about educating. So that is the research component, which we're diving deep into the whole body systems and how hair works, the structure of the hair. So you first understand the science. I think that's really what's missing. The huge gap is science. So that's the research. Then we go into the journey. This is when we get on, the dolls come out, the styles, the tools, the products, the ingredients, all that other fun stuff. And the last part is the growth. And that's our psychological, social, emotional aspect. And first, understanding the experience of individuals with textured hair, the societal pressures, the political pressures, the quiet emotional labor that we may carry. And if you aren't an individual with textured hair, we're educating you on those experiences. And if you are, we're a safe space to release, right? A safe space to let go of all that weight and that baggage that comes and to redefine your relationship as it comes to hair and empower them through affirmations, through breathing exercises, through the mental health activities and coping mechanisms, but really just letting them know that your hair doesn't have to be it doesn't define all of you. It is a part of you, but it's not all of you. And just having you overcome some of that, the weight that you carry because of the world, realistically, or your peers. Yeah.
Makes sense. I'm
Yeah.
kind of curious where the police partnership comes in now.
Yeah. So with Peel Police, actually, it was we did a workshop with the Malton Neighborhood Services. It was braids, badge, and fades. Fades, braids, and badges? Fades, nails, and badges. I will confirm, but it was a community pop up. And one of the officers actually saw my Dragon's Den episode. And he wasn't from the Black community, but he has textured hair. I believe he's Egyptian. And he's like, Anita, I'm reaching out because I watched your Dragons' Den episode. It really resonated with me. And it was a man too. So I was very interested. That's another layer of this experience that I got to talk about. And he's like, we're doing this event and we'd love to have you there as an activator. And I said, this is what I love. This is a space like, if we can pour into the youth and provide them with free services, I'm there. So we experienced that and the relationship kind of just budded from there. And we decided that because the approach of Hello Hair, it's not hair care, but we know young girls will come out for hair care, right? We know young boys will come out for hair care. And that kind of just evolved into, I learned about Pro Action Cops and Kids, which funds funds programs that support youth with officers. And how the structure worked was a 6 weeks program is we had about 3 or 4 partnering schools in Mississauga and the Boys and Girls Club. So that was the youth side. And then the officers basically volunteer their time to be a part of the program. And they will be literally hands in with the dolls, styling, learning all the things. So it breaks down kind of those walls for the youth. And then the other component was teaching the youth also about like internet safety when it comes to human trafficking, the police services, things that you can kind of get support with. So it's a safe space to just be and realize like cops are people too. Right. And I think sometimes we're intimidated. Oh my gosh. And they come in uniform some days and I'm like, oh, hello. But you'll see over that 6 weeks program how that relationship built, how it became a safer space. So that really was divinely aligned. Nothing like we were just happened to be in that same space and just showed up. And we both our mission is to be able to support these youth. So that's kind of how that partnership evolved.
Yeah, now that you brought it up, really curious about how the Dragon's Den experience was for you as a participant. Like as you're doing the pitches, how was that? Even preparing yourself, like that must have been hectic.
It was honestly okay. I'm gonna be really, really honest. Okay, so I grew up watching Dragon's Den, so I'm like geeked about Dragon's Den, always have. But I grew up really, really shy. Like most of my friends thought I was a mute, and I knew it just couldn't be me. But I admired anybody that had confidence to do so. And then I think I was in a program, and they said, "Hey, the Dragon's on audition. You should do it." So obviously, I still wasn't confident enough to go do it in person, but I did send in my little video and I was very theatrical. And they said, "Hey, will you come in?" And I'm like, you know what? Why not? So I went in thinking I'm going to hit a milestone in this sense for my own self. Once again, I'm on this journey of like Anita, trying to find Anita again. So for me, this was a childhood dream that I'm going in there. And I wasn't thinking about an investment at all. Cause I'm a book. We didn't have the dolls even launched then. So I'm like, you're kind of reaching, that's a little too much if you go for an investment, but at least just go there to say you did it. Like you auditioned. Leading up to that, I unexpectedly got connected with a mentor who also loved Dragon's Den and Shark Tank. So she shifted. She's like, Anita, I know you want to do this for whatever your own purposes, but you have an opportunity as well to really pitch your business. So we kind of went back and forth and actually firmed it up a lot more, our pitch, to kind of be like, no, let's actually go there and try to attain an investor. It didn't feel like so forced. And I think that like the nerves that most people have, I was like, you know what? I won already. I got here. Like to me, I already won before I walked in there because we got an interview and we're going in there. But what really gave me strength was my daughter. What wasn't included on the Dragon's Den, the cut was leading into, so we walked down this aisle before, they take you as you're walking into the den before they open the door. And there's like 3 interviews before you get there. So I was already piped up. I already pitched like 3 times before I already pitched. And we're in there and I'm doing my final interview before I go on. And my daughter's just like tapping my leg. And I'm trying to focus. So I'm like on my camera right now, Tiana. And she's tapping my leg. And then I look down and she's like grilling me. She's like this. And I'm like, oh my gosh. She had this tooth. She had an accident at school like 6 months ago that's just been hanging on. And somehow when we're walking down, that tooth drops out. So she starts crying. She's panicking. The producers are panicking. Dad comes in. Is like, should you take her out? And this and that. They're like, you're going to have to do this without her. And I'm like, Tiana, how are you feeling? She literally wiped her tears. She said, 1, 2, put her hand down, said, Mom, I'm ready. And at that point, sorry, it's making me emotional. Every time I think about it, I get so emotional because like, nothing even matters. If you're ready, then I have to be ready. You know what I mean? It was so much. I got so much strength and confidence from her that I went into there and it was a conversation. It didn't even feel like I was pitching or proving myself or trying to do it like, this is it. Take me or leave me. And I think that's where the conversation was just authentic. I was just being Anita Grant. And I think that was the beautiful, like both goals that I wanted was like just to be me, be proud of myself, have my daughter stand beside me and get an investment on top of that, it was like, oh my gosh, God is so good. Like, this is amazing. So yeah, it was probably the best experience ever. And just validating like this children's book is enough, right? The story is enough. Like what you're doing is going to impact millions. And I think that's what the judges really saw. The Dragon saw was like, it wasn't necessarily the revenue because it wasn't there. It was the mission and realizing the reality. Like this is a big market opportunity. And I felt like I was the right one to lead. I feel like I'm the right one to do it. So yeah.
Curious how after, even after the show, or how the show impacted the business in your, it probably helped you grow a lot as a person. You're describing it right now, but even
Yeah.
after that, I'm pretty sure your mindset even shifted as an entrepreneur. I'm
Absolutely.
curious what the show instilled in you.
Yeah. So the show is still paying off. I'll tell people, even if go do it, just do it. Just do it for yourself or for the exposure, whatever you choose, just do it. So I think it definitely just created some credibility for us. Like we're a VC backable business, even though we're a children's book. And I think for like when you think about the Black community and like entrepreneurs that are like something such like a mustard seed to see that, I think it was a moment for us. Like I always say, my win's a win for so many, and their win's a win of mine as well. So I just think it was a way for them to see like they can do it too. Like I'm not special in this, you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
it created, yeah,
kind of curious, even for other people, because I think this is a really valuable story you're talking about here as a business that's technically non VC fundable. You
Mhm.
are VC fundable now. And how do you, like, I think a lot of people in the world are talking about how their business isn't VC fundable or they're not able to get VC funding because it's like a traditional business or whatnot. Kind of curious how you would view or how you would shift their mindset or how you would want them to think.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in like if you tell yourself you're not, you're not. But then once you tell yourself you are, you are. And I think that's really where the mindset shift came. It's like if I want something, I ought to believe that I deserve it first. And I would say in that journey before, if I went in with that same process of like, oh, I'm just going to be a book, this and that, I don't think I would have prepared myself in the way that I did. So I have to, when I shifted that mindset, it also shifted the way that I pitched, how I approached this, how I gathered my financials. It shifted how, like, what is a VC backable business? What gives them the right to be backed? I had to position myself as such as well. And it did require like me understanding my financials. I did a deep dive financial for the first time ever. I'm like, okay, I see the growth trajectory, right? And I think there's something about preparing yourself for a VC pitch, whether you take it or not. You're going to learn so much about your business, about yourself, and also like the expansive mindset that you need to have. Because on Dragons Den, I did say that yes, I'm a children's book, but the ultimate goal is to be an animation, right? I wanted to create the whole world. And that came through the journey of like preparing for that. So I think where you are today is not where you're going to be tomorrow, but you can create that story. And that's what kind of makes you a VC backable business is because they're not just today. It's like, okay, we see what you're building. We see the brand. We see the growth and the potential. So yeah, anything's VC backable. It's up to you now if you want to take a VC. That's a whole other conversation.
For sure. Especially in the modern day, like where money is free or money feels free.
Yeah. It's shrunk a lot. It's changed a lot. The VC world has changed significantly post COVID. I think before it was really easy just to get money and invest and just inject and grow. But I think there's a lot more proof you got to show and validation and product market fit before investors are giving money away so loosely. So I think there has been, in my experience, a shift in how you prepare yourself for VCs today.
Makes sense. So kind of, I wanted to bring it back to Brixton, actually. Your dolls actually crossed into a UK prison where incarcerated fathers learned how to braid. I was kind of curious what brought this opportunity along, what made you even go there, do this,
Yeah.
and what did watching that even do for you?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that is so new. That is so new. I think I'm still like, whoa, what just happened? Okay. So I'm like thus far in my journey, I don't know if this is, I don't know what exactly this is, but like when I say I want to do something, I'll say it the year before and things have just aligned. So went to South Africa last year, went to China this year. And I said, with the tariffs and everything that's happening in the US administration, I said, I don't want to limit myself to just, the North American market. I've immersed myself a little bit more on market, introducing international markets and business planning. In the UK, I mean, my mom's from the UK, so I have roots and family over there. But when I think about the value systems, when it comes to like hair and identity, they get it. They really do get it. So I've always wanted to explore the UK. I haven't been there yet, crazy enough, but I'm like, I just want to explore it. I just want to see what it's like. And I think we would do really well over there. So I follow that intuition. And this company who I'm partnering with is Treasure Trust, who I've been following for some time. And I knew they would be a great partner because a part of like Hello Hair is I don't just want to sell the books and the dolls without providing the education piece. And I knew if I couldn't physically be there, a partner like Treasure Chest would be able to facilitate that very critical component of the brand. So I honestly cold emailed. I cold emailed them. I sent some DMs.
Like
Did
to the
some
prison?
no, sorry, to Treasure Trust. The
Okay.
company that's not there yet. I do believe in cold email, but not no. I did not do that. So I actually emailed them to really pilot the brand. Before you do anything, I just wanted to test to see, is it actually my assumptions correct and validated? And they were, I don't know if they were completed. The timing was just so divine because they were thinking of doing this workshop. And when I met with the founder, she shared like one of the common feedbacks that they got from the workshop is like, why are we styling straight hair when we're trying to teach for our textured daughters? Like, this doesn't translate. So once we kind of connected, it was like, oh my goodness, like this actually will really align to kind of the gap that they had missed. And the program with HMP was directly with Treasure Trust. We just ended up having to be the partnering for the styling heads. That wasn't our original partnership, but because the timelines work so well, they're like, can we use the dolls for this workshop? And I said, absolutely. And I saw the videos, I saw like the braids, I saw the men, I heard the stories, and I'm like, I knew we would have an impact, but I wasn't thinking about all these different angles and crevices. So I would have to give kudos to Treasure Trust for allowing me to be a part of this or contributing to this incredible impact. And from there, like we already got reception to like, hey, what's next? Where's the next prison? Where's the next base? And doing more workshops with men specifically is what their initiatives are. So I can't take full credit for that. I'm just incredibly grateful to be a part of it.
Yeah, kind of curious what even the question of like men asking like is
Yeah,
braiding for them like is that even
exactly.
something that they should be doing? Like what does that even tell you like
Yeah.
as a yeah.
Because it's such we have gender roles. So it's huge. Oftentimes, mom, sister, auntie, everybody but dad or uncle are doing hair. And I think it's come to a point of like, I think gender roles are slowly like, it's just not going to work. We're all providing, we're all working. We need a two-income home. Things have changed a lot. And that also includes how we care for that child. And I think there is a desire for men to be more included. It's kind of like you've never asked, so I never put their hand out, but there's no resistance to learn. And to the point, going back a little bit, is men also have their own hair experiences, right? We often skip over and say, oh, this is just a woman's issue. But I've spoken to a lot of men, and they're also just very much like, what do I do? How do I care for? It impacts their self-esteem, it impacts their confidence as well. So I think it's about creating more spaces for men, women, anybody and everybody to really be able just to learn and to explore. And it's been really, really receptive thus far. And I hope we will be expanding Hello Hair to be more representative of the men and the young boys as well. So that's to come very
It's
soon.
exciting. Yeah. And congratulations by the way. Hello Hair just turned 4 and you mentioned that your team put out your anniversary post even before you could. So now you mentioned the mission is no longer on one person's shoulders. Kind of curious what that is like for you, just watching your team even go past you in some levels or like, you know.
Yeah. It is like, it was so special. Like I'm so used to usually like the first business, it was just me, maybe a contractor here and there. And to be at a place that we can employ others and like actually say like I have a team, like it's not just me and I'm not doing it alone. And I mean, I'm still learning what that is. It's new to me, but I know I needed help. And I think it's not always easy to ask for help and to just see like the team, like they're aware of the weight that I carry and just to take that off of me and just to do and articulate the 4-year anniversary so beautifully. She did an incredible job. Sandra, I'm going to name drop you because you did an incredible job in articulating this brand because it's so personal. It is very personal. So I'm always, weary, but I think that is a reflection of growth. I think that is a reflection of, I'm going to say, my leadership. It's going to be a reflection of just like the ability to see bigger. Like I don't have to do it alone. Like there's no, like, I'm seeing that we can really make global impact. You know what I mean? I'm seeing like with the right people on board, like this doesn't have to just be in a small business. Like this can grow. And for me, I feel like that's kind of where we are in the last year. It's been like the growth has been more than I can even manage and I'm just trying to grasp it all. But it just reinforced like, yeah, Anita, we're on the right path and this is going to take wings. And you have a team to support you. And that just brings so much like joy and excitement and also like peace knowing like I'm not doing this alone. So yeah, it was a beautiful reflection of where we are.
It's amazing. And even as like Hello Hair is basically like a social enterprise. So mission and money can sometimes be going in two different directions. How do you keep the business, how do you keep it alive as both a business and not just a cause?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah,
Go ahead. Is there part two?
no, no,
Right
there's
there?
nothing
Okay.
to.
So yes, and that is a great question because it's something that I think I'm just starting to really balance. I'll say in the beginning I did do a lot of like community work that oftentimes had no returns. And I felt really burnt out, jumping here, jumping there, like never really having any structure. And it kind of took away from like the building of the brand. And I think for me now is realizing like the importance of having revenue and a profit isn't selfish of me or taking away from giving back to my community, but it's in order for me to continue to make impact, I need to be able to sustain it. And if I don't have revenue generating means to do so or profit to do so, then I can't service anybody. So it's kind of like first for myself to realize that this profit isn't selfish greed like what capitalists, I'm not a capitalist. I'm doing this to be able to fund for greater impact in the long term and be sustainable. So I think that was the first thing that I had to shift is my mindset, feeling guilty around money. Okay, that would be my first thing. And then my second part is I do have partners that are like my social partners. It's not everybody, but they're ones that I'm no matter what, it's a handful. I know what to expect. I know how I'm going to show up. I know what it requires of me, and I know I can be consistent in that work to really see an impact even if we're not seeing the profits, right? But it's much more manageable than me jumping around everywhere. And then I have systems in place like for instance, allowing the book, the doll, the e-com stuff to kind of run on its own simultaneously. So it's really just structuring like what percentage is community, what percentage is revenue, and then making sure they're both in motion at all times. It's not one versus the other.
Makes sense. And I guess my last kind of question, your site says this kind of perfectly where you're honoring the past and you're educating the present while preserving a culture for generations to come. So kind of zooming out, if Hello Hair actually works out exactly the way you wanted, what does it really change for a young Black girl's relationship with her hair? What does it change for a person's relationship with their hair in the future? Kind of curious what the direction is and how you wanted to really take it.
I think we think too much about hair. I was thinking about it yesterday. Look, my next book is like, why are we so obsessed about hair? Why are we so obsessed about hair? And it's not that we want to be. I don't think we want to be. I think it's something that takes up way too much space and in real estate in our mind. Like I'm planning my hairstyle 3 months in advance, or I'm thinking about the weather and like how can I show up. I'm thinking about like it really does impact your life, like your daily life, right? So for me, it's like I want you to just be. My goal is just to be, and then allows you to just because God made all of us perfectly. You know what I mean? Perfectly imperfect. Like you're enough just as you are. So why are we altering, trying to understand parts that already exist that are natural beings? Like you can't change. You are who you are. So I want you to love that. And then get on to the next thing that you aspire to. You know what I mean? So I think my goal is to really get to the place that we can just be and exist. And I think from the world to understand our experiences who don't necessarily understand it, understand the harm in some of the language that has been happening, understanding how some of these laws and rules could limit us from being, building that awareness, but also being able to honor and pass on this knowledge through education. My children will not have to experience it because I have the knowledge now to educate them that can educate the next one. And when they're doing it through practice and care. So it doesn't seem like you're in school to learn about hair care, right? It's just in the household passed on. Um, so yeah, my real goal is just allow us, I just want to exist. Honestly, I just want to be. That's the goal.
And have people just, yes, have hair not be a topic of discussion.
It's a part of me, but it's not all of me, right? There's so much more of me. Like there's so much more I want to share with the world. I don't want to be known for just this. And I think it's just allows us to be like, I feel like there's a lot of pressure for me sometimes, even just to like how I'm going to show up. If I didn't have to think about that, I think you would see more of my like my more positive qualities, you know what I mean? And it wouldn't put me in these thoughts and these questions and all that other stuff. How is the world going to receive me? But yeah, I think it's just a matter of just allowing us to exist, and then we can focus on all the beautiful traits that we have within, right? And then we can share that with the world instead of carrying the weight of the world right now.
That makes sense. Well, yeah, thanks so much for coming on, by the way. It was great talking to you, Anita. And
Likewise.
yeah, so this is the end of the episode. After this, I'll just chop it up and we can do whatever. I'll stop the recording right now.